Murari, Shri Krishna Murari. Yeshonanda Kumar, Arananda Kumar, Yeshonanda Kumar, Arananda Kumar, Habe Prema Pradeepe Arati Tomar, Habe Prema Pradeepe Arati Tomar, Nayana Jamuna Jare Anibar, Nayana Jamuna Jare Anibar, তোমার বিরহে গিরিধারী, তোমার বিরহে গিরিধারী, তোমার বিরহে রাধা গিরিধারী, কৃষ্ণ মুরারি, শ্রী কৃষ্ণ মুরারি, মম মন মন্দিরে रहने दीना, कृष्ण मुरारी, श्री कृष्ण मुरारी, बंदन गने तब बाजुको जीवन, बंदन गने तब बाजुको जीवन, बंदन गने तब बाजु Krishna Murari, Krishna Murari, Shri Krishna Murari, Krishna Murari, Shri Krishna Murari. महाराज भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर महाशय की जय, श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि.
Very nicely rendered,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Very nice.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Such a nice start for this session, actually. Very beautiful. Yeah. Let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada also. Let's begin with our prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we have to do the second half of chapter 5. This is where we stop. We'll first go to the summary a little. I have the summary here somewhere. Summary of 5th chapter, and then we'll discuss. So this is what we are doing. So first 6 chapters in Bhagavad Gita are about Karma Yoga. Then the middle 6, 7 to 12 are about Bhakti Yoga. Last 6 chapters, 13 to 18 are actually Gnana Yoga, which means we attain Bhakti through Gnana. That's how it is. It's Gnana Yoga predominantly, through Gnana we attain Bhakti. That's how we need to understand it. So now goal of Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti Yoga only. So let's go over this. First 5.1 to 5.6 verses. Nishkama Karma Yoga is easier than renouncing word. Krishna is saying that. Then how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. Platform of knowledge, knowing 3 doers. We did this last time, knowing the 3 doers. And liberation by focus on the super soul. Liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. Peace on the platform of liberation. So Krishna will mention Ashtanga Yoga. He says you can attain liberation by Bhakti Yoga, and he says by Ashtanga Yoga. So Arjuna will have questions about Ashtanga Yoga now after hearing that. So next chapter is about Ashtanga Yoga. So this is where we stopped. How a devotee lives in this world. A pure devotee is like a lotus flower. So pure. It doesn't catch the infection of the world. It doesn't catch the contamination of this world. In the sense, he'll not be disturbed with all these dirty things that are happening around him. He's beyond contamination by sinful reactions and all that. He lives in the world, but he doesn't get infected by this all the um, material desires and all that. So after this, we saw Prabhupada as an example, best example we have in front of us. Then we discussed this verse also, I think. I think we did this also, right? When we work for the satisfaction of the Lord, when we try to satisfy His senses, all the activities we perform through our mind, body, intelligence, all those activities are purified. They are purified of any kind of material contamination. So such a person is actually a liberated person. So we did the summary. Now let's go on from here. This example is to tell us that fruitive activities, platform of punya is very dangerous. We worry about punya, right? I have this much punya. Something happened, maybe I have some papa karma, punya karma. We always worry about our punya, but there's nothing spiritual about it. We cannot think about what can happen. Anything can happen when you're working like this. Nrigas fall down due to fruitive activities. Do you know about this pastime? This was discussed in the 18 days course also. So I'm sure you all have heard about Driga, King Driga. Do you know about him? Because in this world, we think if we do a lot of charity, we are a good person. If you do, people are always into this philanthropy and all this other kind of activities. This King Driga was known for his charity. And we know what happened to him. When you are working on that platform, fruitive activities, Karma Kanda platform, it's very easy to incur sins. Anything can happen, fall down can happen. So if anyone knows, we can briefly, you can narrate this incident. What happened to King Draga? In like few words. Hare Krishna. Who would like to narrate? Just in few words, what really happened to him? Everyone is so quiet. Have you heard about him or no? If you say no, I'll just narrate the incident.
I think you should narrate, Mataji. I think that's why there.
Okay, this King Durga was, okay, Prabhuji. He was known for charity. Once he was giving a lot of hundreds of cows, thousands of cows in charity to Brahmanas. So he was known for this. So once what happened? And each cow was very, very healthy. Very, it had given birth to only one calf, and it was even the cow was decorated with gold-plated horns. The horns were all gold-plated, and it was decorated with silver. And these kind of cows he was giving away in charity. Now, once he gave 2 cows to one Brahmana, he had given few cows to the Brahmana, and one of the cows went back into the the other herd. So what happened was king gave the cow that had already given in charity to another Brahmana. Now this Brahmana said, this cow is mine. The other one said, no, I received it, so this cow is mine. So the Brahmana started argument. They told the king, no, you have already given me a gift. Once you give a gift, you cannot take the gift back. So the other Brahmana said, I received the cow as a gift, so it belongs to me. Then this king said, in return of this cow, I'll give you lots of cows. I'll replace this. I will give you many more cows. But they did not agree. They said, no, you have committed a mistake. Once you give something to a Brahmana, you can't take it back. So both were angry. They were actually very upset about this. So because of this one incident, when King Drika gave up his body, and when after we give up our body, we are accountable for whatever we have done. So this king of death, Yamaraj, going to check all that. So he said, you have committed so many, like you have actually done charity and you're such a good person. Because of that, you have a lot of punya. At the same time, you have some papa karma also. Would you like to go through the punishment first or enjoy heavenly planets? He asked this. And he actually, he is not Krishna conscious actually. He had this desire to see Krishna, maybe I should see Krishna sometime. The desire was in his heart, but he was not really completely Krishna conscious. Because of that, these people who are not Krishna conscious, they cannot always make intelligent decisions. So he says, I'll go through the punishment first. So he said, okay, then you become a lizard. So King Riga became a lizard. And when Krishna's children were playing, once their ball fell into this well, and they saw such a big lizard in the well. They went and told the father. Krishna came. He actually, he just touched the lizard and immediately he got a nice, he became a demigod. So then he narrated what all happened. So that's how he actually, because of Krishna's touch, this curse was broken. But when you're working for this kind of activities, fruitive activities, that's what will happen. The platform of punya is very dangerous. Little mistake, without your knowledge, you would have committed some mistake that can be very painful for us later. We don't know what you're going to face because of that one little thing. But the moment you take shelter of Krishna and work for him, and like how Krishna is saying, karma yoga, nishkama karma yoga, and if we are already on the path of bhakti yoga, we're actually safe. Whatever we do, nothing can touch us. No sinful reactions can actually touch us. So Kindruga was fond of performing fruitive activities, sacrifices, and charity. One mistake, dissatisfying two brahmanas and inquiring sinful result, incurring sinful result to become lizard for a very long time. He was delivered by Krishna, King Riga confessing the futility of fruitive activities. Therefore, devotional service is only auspicious activity for the soul. That is the only auspicious activity for us. So, platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. The living being, doer number one, who knows that all bodily activities are automatically carried out by the modes of material nature, doer number two. After those activities are sanctioned by the super soul, doer number three attains enlightenment through the knowledge. Now let us see this in this form. We can see that here it's very clear. The soul, the material nature, and the super soul. So there are three doers. What does the soul do? It desires, and the Lord sanctions, and material nature will facilitate whatever our desire is. Our desire may be very subtle. We don't have to open our mouth and say, Lord is watching us. He knows everything. He's sitting inside the heart. So he knows what this person is actually desiring. Do we want to enjoy more and more? We want sense gratification. I want to eat 100 rasgullas. I want to live in such a big palace like house. I want to eat all kind of meat. So the Lord will, oh, this is a desire. Okay, then you can become a pig. You become this, you become that. You want to spend a lot of time in water, you can become a fish. So like this, whatever our desire is, it will all come true. So our thoughts are very, very important. So Jiva just desires, the super soul sanctions, and material nature will actually give you that kind of a body or opportunity where you can actually enjoy that kind of, whatever you want to enjoy. Have you heard about Indra becoming a pig? Once, due to a curse, he became a pig, and then he had piglets and he had a pig wife and all. He was very happy living the dirty life. Then Brahma and all, they saw him. They were like, what is happening with Indra? And then they went and told him, oh, Indra, come back. Actually, you have work. You have to go back to your, he's a king of the heavenly planets. Come back, go back and start your work. He was like, no, I'm actually enjoying. Sometimes this world is like that. This Maya is like that. We think we are enjoying, actually. We look for more and more enjoyment here. He says, actually, I'm really enjoying here. I have a family. Look at my piglets and look at my wife and look at everything. So much to eat and all that. They say, Indra, what is wrong with you? And they throw some water on him. Then he's shaken up and they say, oh my God, where am I? Why am I like this? And then he knows where he belongs. So like that, we have forgotten Krishna. We have forgotten our spiritual nature. So we should know these three doers. And we think we are doing everything, but that's not the case. Like there are many examples again, I may say I have grown 100 mangoes. I have made such a beautiful garland. See, we made 100 mangoes. Who provided the soil? Did I create the seed? Did I provide the sunlight? What only I did, the water also was provided by the Lord. The sand, the mud also was provided by the Lord. The earth, Mother Earth is working, she sprouts the seed, and the tree is grows and gives so many fruits. So many things are working in the background. We cannot really claim that, I did it. So similarly, if I say I made a beautiful garland, who provided the flowers? Nature provided the flowers. How did the flower come into existence? Because of some seeds, and again, so many things are working. The rain, water, the sunlight, everything. They all are working so that there's so many different kind of flowers actually blossom. So like this is just rough example, which we think we are doing, but actually everything is given to us. So we know about the different doers. Can someone recite this, please? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Who would like to recite this verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Can I?
Anjali Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Sarvakarmani manasa sannyasyaatse sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan.
Mataji, I'm not able to hear you. Is it only me or everyone?
I don't know, my mic is on. Somebody else can
It's
chant
clear.
over the
It's clear, Mataji. It's clear.
You want me to chant again just to check?
Hmm. Yeah, Mataji. I think I had some issue with my headphone. Yes.
I'll chant again.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, please.
Okay. Sarvakarmani manasa sannyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Hare Krishna.
Please read the translation also, Mataji.
Yeah. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, that is the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. We are all embodied souls living in a body. The embodied soul lives in the city of 9 gates. 9 gates in the sense we have 9 gates. 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, and then anus and genitals. So 9 gates. So all the activities of the body are conducted by, because of the particular mode of nature, and they are all conducted automatically, right? Our eyelids are blinking and everything, all the activities are happening. And why do we suffer in this body of 9 gates, city of 9 gates? Because we identify with our material body. We have forgotten our superior nature. That is why we suffer. But when a person identifies himself with the Lord sitting inside him, with the Lord within himself, by Krishna consciousness, by God consciousness, what happens to him is he'll become free. Even while living in his body, he's not actually attached to the body. There are like one rough example is given in the purport. Prabhupada writes about Prahalad Maharaj. Prahalad Maharaj was living in the city of 9 gates, but nothing bothered him. They were throwing him from a cliff, and then they tortured him so much. They put him among snakes and they tried to poison him, everything. But he was always smiling. There was so much peace on his face, transcendental peace. He was just chanting the Lord's name. He lived in the body, but he was not identifying himself with the body. He knew his relationship with the Lord, and the Lord is going to protect him. That's all he knew very well. So that way he was happy living within the city of 9 gates. No, we can't see that. We never see him getting bewildered. But in this world, you go and talk to 10 people, they'll tell 10 different problems, right? A pure devotee is like that. He's always at peace. He knows it's a very controlled life. So just like Prahalad Maharaj is a very great example. We cannot become like him. It's because he's a very He's a pure devotee, very elevated soul. But looking at all these examples, we understand how controlled, what a controlled life they live. And in that way, they are happy in that city of 9 gates, and we can also be happy. How? By being a person working for the Lord, by being a devotee of the Lord. So a Krishna conscious person is free from outer and inner activities of the material body. Knowledge of the three doers. The self, jiva, that is ourselves. We are situated in the city of 9 gates, 9 holes of the body, not working or causing work to be done. Whether we like it or not, this work will be done automatically. Does not create activities, does not induce others to act. Jiva, that's the limitation of a jiva. Does not create the fruits of action. Happiness or distress come from identifying with the body. When one renounces the results, he or she can live happily. See, when we are worried about the results, what's going to happen, we can see that in so many different, even when we are watching a match also, we say, oh, look, who is going to win, we are worried about the result. There is always anxiety. Right? A person who is working for the Lord, like Hanuman is the best example. From the Puranas and our Bhagavatam, we can see a lot of examples. And in front of us, we have just few years ago, like hundreds of, like 500 years ago and all, we have Goswamis. And then we can see so many of them. They were how happily they lived. They were sleeping under the trees. They were eating just not much, and they were sleeping barely for a few hours. Yet you see the glow on their face. They are so happy. And we living with all the facilities, we are still not happy. So happiness does not depend, on all these things. So it shows this is the way this jiva is. Doer number 1. Okay. So doer number 2 is material nature. Doer number 3 is super soul. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. We are controlled by these 3 modes all the time. We have to, that's what Krishna was telling Arjuna, you have to raise above all these 3 modes. Nishtray gunya bhavarjuna, Vedas deal with 3 modes of material nature. You have to rise beyond that. Go to a platform of Shuddha Sattva, Shuddha Sattva platform. Then here in this one we see, nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied, Krishna is not partial. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. So as long as we live in this city of the body, it appears as if we are doing everything, but neither we are the proprietor nor the controller of the actions and reactions of this body. You have to understand that. Understanding the 3 doers and how they work. Okay, doer number 2, the modes of material nature. They are doing everything, but they are under the direction of the Lord. Doer number 3, super soul is sanctioning but aloof. He is Upadrishta and Anumanta. You desire something, fine, you can have it. That's all. He allows it. He facilitates. That's all. He does not interfere. It's up to us. We have this minute independence, free will. We can choose to be, working for the Lord, be part of his grand scheme of things, part of his plan, or we can choose, I am going to become like Kamsa or somebody else. So it's up to us whether we want to become a devotee of the Lord or something else. We have this little freedom that helps us to do what we want. The Lord does not take responsibility for anyone's pious or impious activities. Soul desires, the Lord does not interfere. Lord sanctions these desires as the living entity deserves. Then the modes carry things out. This is knowledge in the mode of goodness. But he accompanies us just like a parent. When the child is being very adamant, I want to be independent of you. I don't care. I don't want to live with you. Neither I want your home or whatever. I'm going to go and live my own life. I want to be the boss. If the child is being so adamant, you say, okay, go, do what you want. It is like, say, a 3-year-old wants to cross the road and go and, become independent and just wants to go alone somewhere. It's being very, very stubborn. What do the parents do? They actually go behind the child, right? They won't let him cross the road on his own. He's running, but they'll make sure They try to protect him. Like that, Lord is with us. He's always with us. He's the only one who goes with us. Even after we leave the body, he is actually with us. The soul and super soul, they're always together. So even whatever body we take, we may become a mosquito also, but he still is in the heart. He's always accompanying us like a parent. So we keep getting these temporary bodies because our own activities and our own desires and resultant reactions and everything. It is like living in an ocean. That example is given so many times. A material life, this world is compared to the ocean. They're struggling for their existence, right? Everybody is struggling. They all look so happy when it's open. Social media, they all look happy. But when we really dig up and see, there's so many problems they have. Why is that? Happiness. What is happiness? They lack the real knowledge. Where is eternal peace? Where is eternal happiness? They lack that. This ocean, the way the waves throw a person, waves toss. One wave will toss us this way, and the other one will toss that way, and we have no control over the problems. Problems just come on their own. It's not like that they inform us. They don't even inform us. It's like the forest fire. It can happen any moment, and the moment we become aloof from the body, we are actually free of all this turmoil. So only the Lord can save us from this misery. The best solution to get out of this ocean is to become Krishna conscious, to engage in the Lord's service, transcendental service. Role of the soul, initiator. Role of the material nature, facilitator. Role of the Lord is sanctioner. Ignorance bewilders. Na datya kasyachit papam, na chaiva sukritam vibhu. Agnanena vritam jnanam, tena muhyanti chantavaha. Ignorance bewilders. Super soul verifies and sanctions based on, does this jiva deserve to get this desire fulfilled? See, we may go, people approach Shiva and Brahma, that's why. If you go to Vishnu, you will think 100 times, should I give this? He will not give very easily. People go to Brahma, like all these asuras, they pray up to Brahma, like Hiranyakashipu approached Brahma, then Ravana was Shiva's devotee. Shiva and Brahma, they are like, they can, very easy to please Shiva. If whatever you ask is very innocent, he'll give you. He has given boons, such dangerous boons, right? He gave an asura some boon where that he said, the moment I put my hand on somebody's head, that person should burn into ashes, turn into ashes, burn. I want to burn such a person. So this is the boon he wanted, and he wanted to try that on Shiva only. He said, can I try this? So Shiva was looking. He's like, I wanted to put my hand on your head. So Shiva ran. He was like, this kind of boons he's giving because they pray for. That's what they want. There are asuras. But Vishnu is different. We have Dhruva Maharaj as an example. He had a material desire. He went and prayed. He performed austerity in the forest. It was not easy. The kind of austerity he performed, we can read in Bhagavatam. Then Vishnu appeared in front of him. Krishna appeared. And then he actually had his darshan. But he gave him something more than, he wanted a kingdom greater than his great grandfather. But he gave him devotion, he gave him bhakti. And then after seeing the Lord himself, he was like, if Krishna is coming in front of you, he himself is there. I mean, what can you ask? Will you ask for a pencil or a pen or what, a house or a car or what? Doesn't make sense, right? When the Lord of multiple universes, the cause of all causes is with you, everything you ask is like so insignificant. So Dhruva understood what is really valuable. Then the Lord gave him bhakti, and then Dhruva did not want the kingdom, but he said, no, go back, rule your kingdom. The time will come when he will be back. And he gave him his own planet. Dhruva has his own planet because that's what he desired. So the Lord gave him not just a kingdom on earth, but he has his own planet. Imagine that. So he could not even imagine such a big gift. So Jiva desires, who is a doer? Material nature is facilitating, and after receiving super soul's order, material nature through three modes, sattva, raja, tamas, fulfills Jiva's desires. So this is very important to remember. Comparing soul and super soul. We are also eternal. Soul is eternal. Super soul is also eternal. Soul is blissful but suffers when covered by Maya. Super soul is blissful above the three modes of material nature. Soul is cognizant of his body. cognizant of all bodies. Krishna knows what is happening in each and every body that is there in all the multiple universes, not just this world. Everywhere. There's so many souls everywhere. The grass is also a soul. And there are souls everywhere. When you're washing the vegetables and cooking, we are killing germs. Those germs are also souls. We talk about population, but you see there are souls everywhere. Even in the rain, there are souls. So, but he's cognizant. He knows about all these bodies, what's happening in everybody. But our limitation is such that I can only know what is happening within myself, like where it is hurting, you get a headache or leg pain, whatever. I can know what is happening in other person's body. We cannot feel, but the Lord actually knows. So we are Anu Atma, atomic soul. Is Vibhu Atma, omniscient. And then we have minute independence. The soul has minute independence to desire, but is dependent upon super soul to fulfill desires. But Krishna is completely independent. Is completely independent. So in the spiritual world, actually the reciprocation is based on this independence that we have. His independence, the Lord is completely independent. He's showing love, and our independence we are using to show love. Every reciprocation is based on love. There is no business. Here it is like, oh Indra, you give me, you see in Krishna book, they're all trying to perform sacrifice for Indra because Indra provides rain. So in this material world, you give me something, I'll give you something, give and take. It's like demigods. You go to the temple, you give me something, I'll give you something in return. Oh, you give me rain, because of which I'm getting rain, so I'll offer something. So this business transaction is happening, but that is not so in the spiritual world. There is harmony there. Everybody is just busy satisfying the Lord, and the Lord is also ready to reciprocate. He's become a charioteer for Krishna, has become charioteer for Arjuna. So we can see he washes Sudama's feet when Sudama, visits him. So he's like that. He was carrying his father's footwear on his head. And that happened with Draupadi also. One day he said, Draupadi, come, I want you to meet someone. He was taking her to meet Bhishma. And then she was walking, her slippers were making a lot of noise. They wanted to go without noise. So he said, he was holding her slippers, give me this. And he said, go and, go inside and talk to Bhishma. So when that incident happened also, he was holding the footwear. So we can understand the devotee wants to serve the Lord because we are all servitors only. We can never become equal to Krishna, but he is also waiting, to serve us. It is like the relationship is very sweet. When they are like other gopas, they're all massaging his feet in Vrindavan after playing, they sometimes sit down, eat their snacks and eat food, lunch together. Then they all massage Krishna's feet. Krishna is also massaging them. It's like he carries them on their back, that is such a sweet relationship. It's like that. That independence they use only for love, loving exchanges. Liberation by focus on the super soul. One who in knowledge devotionally fixes his consciousness on the super soul and remains materially equipoised, attains liberation in the near future. Let's understand this. Okay, please recite this verse. Hare Krishna. It's Anjali Mataji again. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Tad buddhayastadhatmana sannishthasthatparayanaha gachantyam punaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So, when this knowledge is used to focus on the super soul, then one can act in a transcendental way. Enlightenment can lead to transcendence if it is focused on the super soul. See, all the Vedic literatures, Vedas, Vedic literature, they are all pointing at the same truth, Paratattva. Here, Paratattva means a supreme reality. What is absolute truth? What is supreme? What is a supreme reality? So a person who understands the supreme reality, he knows the supreme as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. He knows all these three features. So the entire Bhagavad Gita, is trying to teach us this, giving us this information. It is also saying Bhagavan. In Bhagavatam also, if you read, you'll understand Bhagavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the last word in the Absolute. The whole of Bhagavad Gita is centered around this information to declare that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is and we'll understand what is the secret of the secrets also. He's going to tell us a lot of information in the 9th chapter. From that also we'll understand more. Krishna himself says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya, means there is no truth superior to me. There is nothing more than that. One who knows Krishna knows everything. Okay. So, and the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, which all the impersonalists want to achieve, that also rests on Krishna only. So, if a devotee is, a devotee whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge is always with Krishna, is in perfect transcendental knowledge. Okay, this is a very important verse in this chapter. We can memorize this also. Mataji, please recite, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shruni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So, generally people think humble. If you open the dictionary, it will have some kind of meaning, synonyms and all. Humble means docile, meek. But here, Krishna is telling who is a humble person. So, a person in real knowledge is actually humble. Okay. How does it demonstrate his humility? He knows that everyone has a relationship with the Supreme. And there is Paramatma in everyone's heart. That knowledge he knows. When he's looking at others, he's looking at them as souls only, nothing else. Because he knows this is elephant is also a soul. There's a cow here, there's a monkey here, the bull, right? And then there's a person sitting on the elephant. So all this, everybody, Pandita Samadarshina. He has equal love towards everyone, like a parent, and he has equal vision. He's not discriminating. This is wrong. This is a cheap animal. That is a big animal. Nothing. But treatment is different. Of course, we cannot keep a snake as a pet. Dogs have to be treated in a certain way. Cows are different. That distinction is there. But we know that, they're all nothing but spirit souls. So from social point of view, we may think that's a Brahmana, this is an outcast. But for a transcendentalist, it doesn't make sense. It's all meaningless. So, just like that, the Lord is also very kind to everyone. He treats everyone like his own friend. He's the only well-wisher we have. He's not at all partial. It is our own desires and material desires, material attachment, all this lust that we have. That is what is causing our problems. It's not the Lord. So we cannot say, look, this person is enjoying more than that person. Why good people are suffering? These questions keep coming up, right? So Krishna is not partial. It's us. So we should know that how much ever we surrender, based on that, he'll also reciprocate. Okay. Okay, situated in Brahman. When one fixes his consciousness on the super soul, his intelligence, mind focused, he is free from doubts because he has knowledge of the three doers. He sees that super soul is sanctioning but impartial. Sees with equal vision because he has knowledge. He is not this body, and he has the knowledge of the super soul also. Okay. Symptoms of a self-realized person. How do you know if this person is a self-realized person? How can you look at a person and say, oh, this person is self-realized? This knowledge is also given in these verses. So let me read this. Somebody would like to read this, please? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can someone read this? There are like...
It will be great if all the devotees take turns to read each.
Yeah.
It will be great. Yeah.
Like Yeah, we have 14 of us and then 12 of the participants. Anyone? Anjali Mataji has been reciting so nicely, beautifully.
Okay.
But anyone else wants to? Okay, Mataji, she's again. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Okay. You want me to chant the shloka, only this description?
Only the description is enough, Mataji.
Okay.
Shlokas are not.
Okay. Okay. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman. 5.20. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor lament upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of God, is already situated in transcendence. Hare Krishna.
One more. Did you read this? No.
I cannot see this.
Okay, such a liberated person. Okay, I'll read Mataji. Such a
Okay.
liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. Like Haridas Thakur, he was happy within, his Atmaram. He was not looking for any pleasure outside. This, this pastime where this, prostitute, she came, somebody, Ramachandra Khan, he was very jealous of Haridas Thakur. He sent her. He said, go bring him a bad name. Okay, so that he loses his fame. People were offering obeisances to Haridas Thakur. He could not tolerate that. But when she entered, equanimity, he was not looking at her like, oh, look, disgusting. What kind of person has come into my heart? He was not kutir. He was not thinking like that. Neither he was like attracted to her. Nothing. This is another soul who has entered this place. So, but then in this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. He's always, attached to Krishna. So that attachment is with Krishna. Krishna is always happy. So the devotee is also happy. They're connected with Krishna. So equanimity of mind is a sign of self-realization. Krishna is flawless. He is without attraction or hatred towards anyone. Just like that. And when a living entity becomes, is without attraction or hatred, he also becomes flawless and he becomes eligible to enter the spiritual world. Because we have to purify ourselves. That's why we are here. Until and unless we become really, really pure, give up all our anarthas, all these material desires, we cannot go anywhere. So from this pastime, we understand that Haridas Thakur could actually, he actually turned her into a devotee. She gave up her dirty life. She donated all her money that she had earned through wrong means, and she became a devotee. She started chanting. We have heard this pastime in the 18 days course. That's why I'm telling in few words. And then he left the place and she started chanting. So she came for 3 nights, but he was like, Mataji, you just have to wait until morning, until I finish my rounds, because I have taken a vow. I've told my spiritual master that I'll be chanting these many rounds. So until then, you have to wait. So she kept waiting and waiting. And again, when morning came, she ran away because people will come and they start offering obeisances. She used to again come back in the night. So third night, she washed his face. She saw and he was like, she just by looking at his face and she understood this was a saintly person. She said, oh my God, what am I doing? Such a saintly person. And why am I here? I'm such a sinful person. So there was a transformation of heart. And she was hearing the mantra also, right? He was chanting. So with that, there was a transformation of heart. And so these pure devotees are like that. They can purify others also. So a pure devotee is not illusioned by false ego or false identification. And he knows he's not the body. And then he's neither joyful in achieving something, nor he laments when he loses something. All these are given in these verses. And there's steadiness of mind, sthira buddhi, self-intelligence. All this is there. And all this knowledge will elevate him to a position where he understands the science of the absolute truth completely. So he knows his constitutional position. That means he's just part and parcel of the Lord, and every living creature, it's just like a dress. All the bodies are just dresses. Inside the body, there is a spirit soul. So they are, it's the, see, theory is one thing, realizing and living according to those principles is another thing. So these are all realized souls who actually practiced what they, were preaching. So it's like that. So we are all nothing but servants of the Lord. We cannot compare ourselves with Krishna. We're just inferior to him. We'll remain like that in the spiritual world also. We'll be serving him, but there is so much joy. He'll also serve, we also serve. So if we ever reach Goloka, there is so much loving reciprocation. So only here we have all this false identification, false ego, jealousy, envy. The world is full of all this. So a person who is self-realized, steady consciousness in this steady consciousness that he has is called Krishna consciousness. So yes, Mataji, can you recite this one, Hare Krishna? This is also a very important verse, and nice examples are there to discuss this verse.
ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःख योनव एवते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So what is happiness of a self-realized soul and what is happiness of a materialistic person? So because the soul wants to be happy, it is the nature of the soul. To be happy is the nature of the soul. The self-realized soul is happy within himself because he is connected to Krishna, as we discussed. But for a materialistic person, our material sense pleasures are all because of the contact of material senses. And this pleasure is temporary, actually. So a liberated soul is not interested in anything temporary. So that's how it is. Now we have some animals to discuss here. From Shastras, we understand that among the animals, one of the senses will be very prominent in them. Like for moth, the vision, the sense, vision is very prominent. So it's attracted to this neon light, keeps on going towards that, and it will die also. For deer, it is the sense of hearing, which is very strong. It has this weakness to music. So the hunter knows that. He plays music, and then the deer, follows that music and goes towards the music, and then the hunter can easily catch the deer. And for the bee, it is the smell. Okay. And then sometimes the bee actually gets trapped in the flowers, and that's how they lose their life also. And then there is fish. Let's see. Yes, the bee is here. Fish. So for fish, it is the sense of taste. And for elephant, it is the sense of touch, sex desire. So fish, for what happens is that when this fish is swimming in the water, there's plenty of food. But for that, when people go fishing, they attach some food, right? And then they fish. And then this fish is attracted to that food. And then that's it. It gets trapped, loses its life, gets caught. So that's how it is. For elephant, sense of touch. So the hunters know that. They send a she elephant, and then this male elephant will start following that one. He'll fall in this pit like this. Such a big animal because of this sense of touch, which is, we cannot control the sex desire because that it falls down like this. So in humans, the problem is all the senses are prominent. All our senses are strong enough. So our entire day is spent in satisfying one sense or the other. I want to see something beautiful. I want to hear something beautiful. I want to eat something delicious. I want to touch something like this. The whole day will go just trying to satisfy our senses because all are very prominent. So if we start introspecting, stay calm and think like, what am I doing? Then if we engage our senses properly, this will not happen. Or downfall will not happen. So sense gratification no doubt gives us happiness, but it is short-lived. There's a beginning and there is end. That's what is given here. It's beginning and end. So, and it will only give more and more pain. So intelligent person knows, He does not delight in the pleasures of the senses. So a liberated soul actually who is really joyful from within is enjoying transcendental pleasure. He will not, look for all these false pleasures. That's the difference between a self-realized person and materialistic people. See how they are. They think, oh, I'm very happy right now because I'm doing something, I'm pleasing my own senses, but it is short-lived and again it's more and more pain. Lust. We can see that here. So this cause of suffering is mainly because we want to lord it over material nature. Desire to lord it over Maya. Okay, this is mine, I want to gather more and more. So this fifth chapter is actually a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness. The more we advance in Krishna consciousness, the more we'll become free from the clutches of Maya, clutches of matter. So what does Krishna consciousness mean? It means it working in full knowledge of our relationship with the Supreme Absolute. Krishna is not partial again. So it depends on our performance of our duties, and we can actually conquer all this desire and anger and all the anarthas. It's possible if we can engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. We need, our senses need real engagement. If you can, keep them busy, then everything will fall into place. So what happens is Krishna consciousness actually awakens our spiritual existence. Then, it brings us to the spiritual life. Okay, let's read this fast. This is all from the purports. In the Padma Purana, it is said, the mystics derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth. And so the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also called known as Rama. It's called Rama. Okay, because the supreme absolute truth, the personality of God, is also known as Rama. Why? Because the mystic derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth. That is, he is giving so much pleasure. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Rishabhadev tells his sons, this is there in the purport. He tells, he instructs his sons. Usually when fathers talks to the children, they try to give a lot of information, right? But you can see here, what is Rishabhadev saying? He's actually guiding them in a proper way. He says, my dear sons, there is no reason to labor very hard for sense pleasure while in this human form of life. Such pleasures are available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life by which your existence will be purified, and as a result, you will be able to enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. He's telling, human life is not supposed to be wasted. And those who are true yogis or learned transcendentalists are not attracted by sense pleasure. Sense pleasures are the causes of continuous material existence. While we are giving up this body, if we have this desire, some material desire, we're thinking, oh, I wish I could enjoy this. I wanted to go on the vacation and I'm dying here. I want to see my great-grandchild's wedding. And this kind of desires, or somebody wants to eat something. They're about to die and they're like, oh, look, I'm not able to eat meat or I'm not able to. Then this next birth, they have to go through more misery. So it'll just cause of continuous material existence. We die, we are born again we give up the body, again we take another body. We don't know what kind of body will take next. So all this will continue. So the more one is addicted to material pleasures, the more he is entrapped by material miseries. So a liberated person understands that. Tolerate agitations till the end of life. Toleration. When Arjuna said, okay, I understand I'm not the body, I'm the soul, but his concern was he will still feel pain when he will see his grandfather dying or his guru giving up his body and all his relatives, friends, they're all going to die. It's going to cause a lot of pain, right? It will hurt him. But what does Krishna say? Yes, that's true. There will be pain, but you have to tolerate. Just like you tolerate different seasons, you tolerate. Please recite some Mataji, Hare Krishna. We have few more verses to go, that's all. We'll finish it off.
Shakroti haivayaha sodhum praksharira vimokshana kamakrodh bhavam vegam sa yuktaha sa sukhi naraha. Before giving up this present body, If one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So how do we make progress on the path of self-realization? By controlling the forces of the material senses. Nectar of Instruction also, which is written by Rupa Goswami. Nectar of Instruction, that book also gives us a lot of information about this. So what are the forces? The forces of the tongue. If tongue is controlled, most of the problems are solved. Forces of talking. Tongue, taste food. Some people cannot control. They want to eat, and they want to talk all the time. So these are all forces. We have to learn how to control our tongue. And forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of the belly, stomach, and forces of the genitals. So if they can control all this, then they can really progress. Who is able to control the forces of all these different senses? The mind, the Goswamis. One who has mastered controlling the senses, they're called Goswamis. So Goswamis lived a very controlled life and they gave up the forces of the senses. Anyone who is not able to control, they're called Godasas because their senses are ruling them. It's like you control them or they'll control you. It's like that. So Goswami means somebody who's mastered all their senses. They can actually, this example is there. There's the serpents. If the fangs are broken, they cannot really do anything. It's like that. When we control our senses, they are not going to lead us astray. So we'll not commit any sins. So because if our senses are not unsatisfied material desires are very, very dangerous chapter. You saw that cycle, right? Unsatisfied material desires will lead to anger, and then everything will become agitated. The mind also will get agitated, eyes, chest, everything will become agitated. All this is because of unsatisfied material desires. If you see somebody is very angry, we can understand they have some kind of lust which is getting up to that point. So see Krishna, Rama also, we see them like Krishna book. Krishna says, don't perform Indra's yagna because he wanted to break Indra's pride. And it looks like as if he's demonstrating anger, but that is transcendental anger. That is different. The anger that we show in this world, out of so many our own lust, that is different. We can't compare. So we have to, one lesson we learn from this is it's important to practice to control the senses before we give up this material body. It's all possible. We can control all this when we engage our senses in the Lord's service. How long do I have to tolerate the pushing of the senses? Until when one must tolerate the urges of the senses? Until the death of the body. Where one gets the strength to tolerate the sensual urges? How do we get it? It's not easy. Even great sages also fall down. Vishwamitra, he was performing austerity. When Menaka came and disturbed him, he got disturbed. It happened to Lord Shiva also. He also got disturbed, right? We're not easy at all. Such great personalities are getting disturbed. They can't control their senses. Who are we, right? How do we do that? By focusing his happiness, activities, and goals inward. He engages in purifying his external activities by working for the benefit of others. Then one is assured liberation. See, they're showing different senses here on the right. We cannot become desireless. We are not going to become stone. We can just purify our desires, develop higher taste. Can someone read all these translations, please? Hare Krishna.
Shall I, Mataji?
Sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
One whose happiness is within, who is active within, who rejoices within and is illuminated within, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme and ultimately he attains the Supreme. Shall I read the next one?
Yes, Mataji.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. Bhagavad Gita 5.26. When a person is actually in the knowledge that Krishna is the fountainhead of everything, then when he acts in that spirit, he acts for everyone. The sufferings of humanity are due to forgetfulness of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the supreme friend. Bhagavad Gita 5.25 purport.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
And then Hare Krishna. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, out of all the saintly people in the world, we say, oh, this is a saint, that is a saint. Of all the saintly people, the one who is, saintly means who are constantly engaged in striving towards their salvation, liberation. Out of all of them, one who is Krishna conscious is the best of all the saintly people. It is not easy to give up fruity work. It's not at all easy to give up fruity work. But Bhagavatam says, Bhagavatam says it very nicely. It says, the desire to enjoy the results of our work is so deep rooted that great sages also are trying to control that, not easy. But a lot of examples are given. We are here, Krishna is in his abode, where Goloka Vrindavana, we are not able to see him, but he's very much inside our heart, he's everywhere. He can see us, he can hear us, he knows what is going on in our mind, everything. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, like the fish brings up his offspring just by looking at the offspring. He keeps looking, the fish keeps on looking, the offspring grows. And tortoise, the eggs are laid on the land and the tortoise is in the water, but it keeps on meditating on the eggs. Sitting in the water, it keeps on meditating on the eggs, and then just that's how it brings up its babies. Just like that, we are far away from the Lord's abode. That's because Goloka is too far away. Krishna is everywhere. That's one thing. We can elevate ourselves to the Lord's abode just by thinking about him. Just thinking. That's all. Because in the 8th chapter also we learn at the time of death, we have to be thinking about the Lord only. Nothing else should be in our mind at the time. That's why we need to practice. As we grow older and older and older, we should stop talking about all kind of nonsense. Just focus on the Lord, because he's the only one who will help us. The moment we give up the body, we'll get a yatana sharir. And then there's a process to it. If you don't want to suffer, if we are really purified, we are thinking about the Lord, then he, who can stop us? He himself will take us back to his abode. But if not, then there is a process. We have to go through this. There's some punishment waiting for us, and Yatana Sharir is not easy. There's a lot of, there is a Bhagavatam. There is one big canto which discusses about, there is Garuda Puran and a lot of information about what happens, how do we face our sins. And if a person who is drinking alcohol, what will happen? And if a person has committed a lot of crimes in the body, what will happen to him after he dies? And then if somebody has been, illicit sex and all that, cheating his family, what will happen to such a? So there are punishments waiting. So many things will happen. So at the time of death, if you have practiced Krishna consciousness all our life, at the time of death, if you can really think about the Lord, it's not easy to think about the Lord at the time of death. It's not easy because just like birth is painful, death is also painful. It's very, very painful. It's like lot of scorpions, not thousands of scorpions come and bite you the last minute, or so it feels. At that time, how do we think about the Lord? Right? It's not easy. But we can just, why they say this is, person who is say on the deathbed, he may not be able to pick up the chanting beads. He may not be able to speak also. But if you can just think, his mind, in his mind, if he's focusing on the Lord, that also will help. So that is very, very important. Just thinking about Krishna all the time. But to practice, hear about his pastimes again and again. Hear his pastimes. Chant as much as possible. Then it is possible. We can see the results, externally also. Once we get purified from inside, we can see it shows outside also. So this last section, almost done. Okay. Liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. Krishna is going to mention this now. Practice of Ashtanga Yoga gives the same liberation. He says, thinking about Krishna, Bhakti Yoga, all this gives us liberation. But Krishna mentions Ashtanga Yoga. Let's see what it is. Mataji, can you recite this one, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sparshan कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यं चक्षुश्चैत्वन्तरे बृहो प्राणापानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरकर्णितौ यतेन्द्रियामनो बुद्धिर्मुनिर्मोक्षापरायणा विगते च भयाक्रोधो यस्सदा मुक्त एव सः. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So Krishna, after explaining all the principles of liberation, in the Supreme, he instructs, he says, we can come to that liberated position by practice of Ashtanga Yoga, the eightfold procedure, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and then Samadhi. So in the 6th chapter, we're going to learn all that, mysticism of yoga. All that will be discussed nicely. So it's a very difficult process. It is not easy. In Pratyahara, the process is you have to drive out all the sense objects, such as, it will be there. When you're practicing, you sit in the forest. First of all, you have to go into a forest, and then there's a very secluded place. You give up all activities, sit there, and how to sit also is explained. And then there will be sound. Of course, there will be sound. There will be birds chirping and all this, but you have to shut down all that. Drive out all the sense objects, sound, touch, form, taste, smell. See, they have to practice like this. And then they have to keep the vision of the eyes between the two eyebrows, and then they concentrate on the tip of the nose, half closed lids, it says, because if you open your eyes, again, there might be some kind of disturbance. If you close your eyes, you might fall asleep. So how to open the eyes, how much to open, and then breathing also. There is some breathing techniques to all that, they neutralize the up moving and down moving air within the body, and they restrain the breathing movement within the nostrils. And then, all this is to control the senses and control the mind. So this will prepare them for liberation. So it will also, remove all the fear and anger, and they can feel the super soul that is present in their heart in the transcendental situation. But it's not easy. It takes a lot of practice. It's a very difficult process. So Krishna says, after reading the 6th chapter, after discussing 6th chapter, we understand that anyway. So Krishna consciousness is the easiest process, process of executing yoga principles. Just by engaging ourselves in the devotional service, we will not risk losing all our senses to any other engagement. So this is the better way of controlling the senses compared to Ashtanga Yoga, devotional service, just engaging ourselves, keeping our senses, mind, everything busy in the devotional service of the Lord can actually give us the same result. A person is in full consciousness of Krishna attains liberation from the pangs of material miseries. So how can Karma Yoga give us liberation? To work in Krishna consciousness, work in Karma Yoga means working in knowledge of the Lord, that He is the proprietor, He is the predominator. So this working is nothing but working with knowledge, transcendental knowledge, working with full knowledge, knowing what is our relationship with the Lord. So a person who is actually working Karma Yoga, the moment we say yoga, we are actually making a connection with the Lord. So the yogi actually understands there is a relationship between him and the Lord. So we by all this we understand the Lord is a person. So yoga is not like we are making connection with some kind of a light or some kind of a void or nothing like that. Lord is a person, and we have a relationship with Him. So that knowledge is there to a person who is really elevated. The self-realized person has that knowledge. So direct Krishna consciousness is nothing but Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading towards Bhakti. Okay. Okay, this is a very, very sweet and important verse. And after this, we'll go through the summary and we are done actually. So let's go over this. Mataji, please recite, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. भोक्तरं यज्ञतापसं सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानं ज्ञात्वा मां सन्तिं रक्षति. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You all can memorize this one. Bhuktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. What does this mean? This means, okay, everyone wants peace. We all want peace. We want to make this world a peaceful place. All the conditioned souls, they're all constantly, we are always anxious, we want to attain this peace in this material world. But under the spell of illusion, everyone is trying to be the lords. We want to dominate material energy. So what is the formula for peace? So Bhagavad Gita gives the formula of peace. The greatest formula is this. Krishna is the only enjoyer. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods. That means Krishna is the only enjoyer, is the beneficiary of in all the human activities. We are all servitors. We participate in his enjoyment. Okay, we try to make Krishna happy. Automatically, everything is satisfied. We are also happy. That is one thing. And he is the sole proprietor of all the planets and all the demigods and every living entity. Everything that we see, all the matter, everything we see, he is the sole proprietor. So he is the enjoyer, he is the proprietor, and he is the only well-wisher. See, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam is the only well-wisher for all the living entities. He is only the best friend we have. Because everyone is looking for that perfect relationship. They want perfect siblings, perfect parents, perfect partner, perfect friend. It's not going to happen. In this world, nothing is perfect. This whole world is only designed such that there will be problems. It's not going to be a perfect place. This is a place where we purify ourselves and go back to Godhead. So that is why we are here. So he's the only well-wisher. We should know he's the only best friend. How will the best friend talk to us? We have to make the connection, we have to start surrendering ourselves. The moment we start serving the Lord, he will also reciprocate. He says, based on their surrender, I am also, that much. Our degree of surrender is what is going to get us Krishna. So he says, if you want peace, you have to include me in your life. Krishna is saying that very clearly. So unless and until we come to the platform of Krishna consciousness, with knowledge, work, devotional service, association of devotees, and by the mercy of acharyas and gurus, there is no peace. It's very clear. So happiness is in relationship, right? And nobody can give pure love or unconditional love like Krishna. So we must serve Krishna with love, and Krishna is also going to reciprocate. So what is the purport of this shloka then? Krishna is the only enjoyer, Krishna is the proprietor, Krishna is the only well-wisher. If we live with this knowledge, this consciousness, we will never be sad. Everything will fall into place. We know we don't own anything, and we know Krishna is the enjoyer. We think I am the enjoyer. That's the problem now. The moment we know Krishna is enjoying, I'm facilitating his enjoyment. I'm trying to satisfy his senses. And then we will not have expectation also, who is my well-wisher? Because the best friend also can turn into the worst enemy. It won't take much time. So we know the Lord is the only well-wisher we have. So this is the purport. Nishkama Karma Yoga, easier than renouncing work. How to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga? Platform of knowledge, knowing the three doers. Liberation by focus on the super soul. Liberation through Ashtanga Yoga. Peace on the platform of liberation. A person who knows he's a proprietor, he's the enjoyer, he's the well-wisher, will actually be very peaceful. So that's what it means. Then we also discussed Rupa Goswami's verdict. What is real renunciation? Real renunciation is when we use whatever Krishna has given us in his service. It's not like I will renounce this, renounce. We can't renounce anything. We don't own anything. First of all, what are we going to renounce? We have to use everything in the Lord's service. So it is like this example is a rough example. I heard this in Prabhu's class. Say you hire some carpenter, you give him all the stuff. You say you create this for me. I'm giving you material to create everything. The carpenter will create. And then at the end of the day, he has to walk out of the house. He cannot claim, I created this is mine. He cannot claim at all. That's how our situation is. We have come into this world. We cannot claim this is mine, that is mine. We have to, one day will come, then we have to give up everything and walk out. So that way, we should know who is the proprietor. Then right now we're behaving like thieves. Like this example is given. We go into somebody's house and then it's not our house, first of all. We open the fridge and eat all their food. We are, wasting so many things. We make a mess out of that place. And then, but we want to be boss, we want to own that house, which is not ours. That's how we are treating the planet right now. So the moment we come to know this is not mine, I better take care of it, then there will be a lot of peace. Pollution, in the sense, polluted consciousness, Prabhupada says. It's not about environmental pollution, that pollution is pollution. Once the consciousness clears, everything will be fine. So Krishna mentioned Ashtanga Yoga. So he's going to talk about Ashtanga Yoga and what yoga we do and what is Ashtanga Yoga. We'll understand the difference and learn all that in the next session. So Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga both give liberation. So this is the summary of this chapter. So I'll stop share and stop live stream. We can discuss.